I started a business from the ground up and I sold it for over $10 million in under 6 years. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do exactly the same thing, but giving you the benefit of learning from my mistakes, and hopefully you can achieve that even quicker. Part one is really simple. You cannot go into this until your mindset and your body are ready to do so. Too many people go into the world of wanting to be an entrepreneur, not even thinking about what some of the pitfalls might be and how that drain on your mental strength and your physical strength is there. There is no paycheck coming in half the time. There is nobody out there to help you sometimes. So my first tip before anything else even matters is, are you ready for this? Have you done that internal due diligence with yourself to say, I have the mental strength and the physical strength to put the hours in and do the work, and now is the time to do this? Because if not, then don't start until you're ready. The second part of this is humility and tenacity. Are you ready to accept that when you go into this, you're probably going to be fairly novice in your field? Not necessarily in the field that you've built up your expertise in, but if you're a young entrepreneur, then maybe you are a complete novice. But the point is that every successful entrepreneur knows that success comes from having a huge dose of humility and tenacity. Now, the tenacity piece is fairly straightforward. You've got to work hard. You've got to put the hours in. You've got to do things and make sacrifices when your friends or colleagues or loved ones or whoever it might be are out there having fun. You have to say no to these things, and you have to focus in on what you have to do. And even if it doesn't go well, you've got to try again. You've got to keep getting up. You've got to have that marine-like mindset to be able to focus in and be tenacious. The humility part is sometimes harder. Humility is all about that ability to actually understand where your strengths and weaknesses are at all times. People that have an ego and people think that they're already too good to be where they should be are going to fail as an entrepreneur. You should, as soon as possible, look for a mentor, somebody that's been there, done that, somebody that can be a guide for you, whether it's spiritually, whether it's financially, whether it's around their experience in the same space that you're looking to build your business in. Having a mentor is incredibly important, and that is a big part of being humble, is going to others for help. Do you also have the humility to accept others are better than you at your job? When you are building a business, it's understandable this is your baby. You're the one paying the bills. You're the one dealing with the losses up front. You're the one taking on all the risk. Are you able to delegate and relinquish that control and empower others to actually do that for you? Give the keys to your kingdom to somebody else. Are you able to say to them, I trust you with my livelihood. I trust you and empower you to be successful in this role, because I know I have the comfort internally that you are better at this task or this specific part of the job in my company than I am today. That is another key secret to being an entrepreneur, is being able to relinquish control and have that humility to do so. Part number 3, focus on a specialism and niche. I cannot stress this point enough of how important that is. When we go into the world of building our own business, we know we're going to have competitors. Unless you're building something so specific that is so innovative and so never to be seen before in terms of maybe technology, it's very, very likely that there is somebody else out there doing something exactly the same, or if not exactly the same, very similar to what you are doing today. So you need to focus in. You need to zoom in on exactly what it is that you're going to be known for, how your mastery, how your credibility, how you show up, and how your name is going to be in lights around that one specific area. This is the biggest mistake lots of potential entrepreneurs make. They go in, they try to cover too much ground, they try to sell too many products, they try to do too much too quickly. By specializing, by zooming in, by focusing, that gives you an immediate advantage because you become a master in an area where many are novices. The other thing about specialism is it builds trust and integrity from your customers, and not necessarily customers that are customers right now, but potential customers for the future. That staying power and that consistent understanding of trends and business insights and things that are happening in that market where your specialism is, that is what selling is all about. Selling is about really showing that specialism and showing up and being an advisor to people, even when they're not sending you a check, even though when they're not transferring money into your company's bank account. You are always selling, you're always on, and that specialism and building that trust and credibility is the strongest sales tool ever, and it's the most consultative and unsalesy tool. So really focus on, am I adding value to anybody I talk to? Am I helping them come away from this conversation with more knowledge than they had before? If the answer is yes, then you are one step closer to being successful in your business. The beauty of this is as you go along your entrepreneur journey, you will see wannabe competitors coming in to your sandbox. They'll be wanting to play. They'll be trying to take some of your profit. And what will happen is, if they're not specialists like you are, which is very unlikely, you will absolutely see that they are amateurs in this space compared to you. And the best part is, it's not just you that will see they're amateurs, it's the potential customers. Imagine you're pitching to a company about a subject that you have honed your skills in and laser focused over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months. And then somebody comes in saying, I'll give this a go for 4 weeks and see if I can win some business here. If you're the customer or client and both parties are pitching to you, who do you think they're going to go for? The one that has genuine confidence and mastery and understanding of a subject and that comfort around talking about it at any point, or the individual that's just touching the surface and dipping their toe in the water? I think it's obvious answer. So really focus on that specialism and niche and don't worry about the noise around you. Part 4 is all about going from solo lead to being the front man or woman. The key thing here is that you can sound great as a lead singer on your own as a soloist, but until you are the leader of the band and the production or the conductor of the orchestra, we all know that everything put together sounds like a much more rich and emotive experience. It's exactly the same in business. You have started your business by being an expert in your field, but the way that you really compound and grow is being able to become a band and have that production and that sort of big team around you versus just being all me, me, me. So another example of this is that maybe that you're a great salesperson. Maybe you're brilliant with customers. Maybe you're great at inspiring people to learn all about your business and get sucked into what it is that you sell or whatever you're trading or whatever you're trying to get people to buy. However, there's different elements to a business to make it successful. How do you know your pricing is good? How do you know your profitability is good? How are you looking at the way that you're collecting data and really thinking about how you're doing your marketing? All of these things, you can't do everything. Look, it makes sense and it's really recommended for you to have a base level of understanding of all these other areas of a business. But when you get to that point that you know that you need to bring somebody else in, whether it's the bass guitarist, it could be the marketer, or the drummer who's your finance person, or it could even be a backup singer who is an assistant for you. The point here is bring people in to make the business a bigger band. This is the only way that you're going to be successful and scale without also burning out. Part 5 is all about planning for exit. We don't just sell businesses and wake up and go, I fancy selling my business today. You may get an offer, but even if you get an offer out the blue, is your business ready to be sold for the maximum amount of money? I've seen so many individuals that have businesses that have top line sales in the millions, but they can't sell it. Now you might be thinking, how can somebody not want to buy a business that makes millions of dollars when it's making millions of dollars? Well, the answer is very simple, because that buyer, they're not looking about what the money it makes now. They're thinking, when I put my millions into buying this business off this person or off these investors, can I double or triple or even quadruple my investment? And the way to think about that is there a team in place to help scale it even more so I can get a return on my investment as the buyer? Is the product, scalable? Is there enough innovation? Is there a bigger addressable market? Can it expand? Does it have the data and technology, the governance, the regulation around it to be able to expand? Laying those foundations in your business early, even though it seems like quite administrative work, is so important to create that strong foundation to be able to grow and, more importantly, show future investors that you can actually get a return for their investment. The other big part of this you've got to think about is, are you going to carry on? Are you going to be the one that takes the business from this stage to the next stage to the next stage for any new investor? If the answer is no, and you've made that plan already that you want to step aside, then years before you sell it, you have to start thinking about who is going to be that front man, who is going to take this business to the next level, and how can I create a strategy and a succession planning that allows them to see that you will also be able to prepare and create that narrative around who's going to take the business to the next level. Really think about this, Bond. It's really important. And this is definitely something you start to do at a later stage. But even in the first 6 to 12 months of starting your business, maybe when you've only got 1 or 2 hires or employees working for you, start to think about, what does that exit look like? What is any buyer going to want to see from this business for me and how I scale it? These 5 simple tips that I've talked about today are so important and very basic things. But the point of them is that they're all big things you have to think about. Now, none of this is going to be possible at all unless you are an absolute ninja or, again, have that marine-like discipline around the art of saying no.